Hi, I'm Chad with Move for Guitar. This lesson is from our series Guitar Chords for Beginners. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to play an open B minor 9 chord. First off, if you'd like to get the diagram for this chord, the chord chart, you can click the link on the screen and it'll take you to an eGuide that you can download for free. And this eGuide includes this chord as well as a whole bunch of other beginner chords that are really useful to learn. It has really common beginner chords as well as less common ones. And not only do I show you how to play the chords, give you diagrams for those, but I show you how to put the chords together into chord progressions. So it includes a whole bunch of chord progressions that I have taken from the chords in the eGuide and put them together in sequences so you can see how they go together in a musical situation, and it'll also give you ideas of how to put these chords together into your own chord progressions. So if you'd like to get that eGuide for free, just click the link on the screen and you can download that. So here's an open B minor 9 chord. This isn't a very common beginner chord, but it's really useful if you can learn it early on. It'll be really valuable to you and you'll use it all the time, and it'll also help you when you start moving this chord up the neck, which is something you'll get into later as you start learning bar chords or movable chords. But if you can learn it now, it'll be really useful to you for playing songs, writing your own songs, and then it'll help you down the road. So the fingering for this chord, there's two ways to finger it. The way I'm holding it right now is probably the best way, because when you play this as a movable chord, when you get more advanced, this would be how you would hold it, and you would add in your first finger. But don't worry about that for right now. Just know that this is probably the best way to hold it usually, but there's also another way to hold it that I'll show you. So the fingering is your second finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Then you skip the 4th string and leave that open. And then your 3rd finger goes on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And then you go down towards the floor with your 4th finger, and that goes on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. So all the notes you're fretting are in the 2nd fret. And with this chord, you're not playing the 6th string, you mute that out, and you're not playing the 1st string, you mute that out. And the way you do that is with the 6th string, you just let your 2nd finger lightly touch up underneath the string and keep it from ringing out. So your 2nd finger is just lightly touching the 6th string, and it should sound like that when you hit the 6th string. And that way you can strum through the whole chord and not worry about hitting the 6th string. Because if you're not muting that, you'd have to start your strum on the 5th string, and that's a lot harder. So if you can just mute it out with the tip of your 2nd finger, that's going to work really well. And then you do the same thing with the 1st string, except you're muting it out with the back part of your 4th finger. So my 4th finger is just lightly touching the 1st string and muting that out. And it's actually fairly easy to mute out the 1st string with your 4th finger, because that's just going to naturally happen unless you're careful anyway. So just make sure that you don't hear that 1st string ringing, and it'll naturally get muted if you let it, just by the back of your 4th finger. So if you're muting those two strings, you can strum through all the strings, and you're only going to hear the strings that are open or fretted. And with this chord, the only open string is the 4th string. And then you're fretting the 5th, the 3rd, and the 2nd. So that's one way to hold it, which would be the most common and I'd say the most beneficial way to learn. But also you could hold it like this, where you're switching out your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers with your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers. So it'd be like this. You'd have your 1st finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, your 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and your 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. And then you would mute out the 6th string with your 1st finger and mute out the 1st string with your 3rd finger. And this chord, no matter how you hold it, you're going to have to really arch your fingers up and be on the tips of your fingers to try and avoid blocking out the 4th string. And that's going to be pretty difficult at first. It's going to be hard not to accidentally block out the 4th string with your 2nd or your 3rd finger, or if you're holding it like this, your 1st or your 2nd finger. So you really have to be on the tips of your fingers and avoid blocking that out. And with anything you fret on the guitar, you want to be as close to the front fret wire as possible without being on top of the fret wire. So I'm in the second fret with all these fingers, so I just want to be up towards this fret wire. I don't want to be way back here in the fret, or it's going to take a lot more pressure to keep those notes from ringing. I'll have to put a lot more pressure to do that. So if you're up here, you'll get the notes to ring out clearly a lot easier. So when you think you have it fretted properly, just strum through. And just, if you hear anything, like, go through and adjust your fingers over and over until you can get all the notes to ring out clearly. And again, if you'd like to get the chart for this as well as the chart for a bunch of other beginner chords, you can click the link on the screen and it'll take you to an eGuide that you can download for free. So that's an open B minor 9 chord.